The Gospel according to
I'm in the
St.
New King
Matthew,
James Bible.
chapter
My mom gave me this Bible.
27.
I read the whole entire Bible. She gave it to me back in like 2011. It was even before I was truly saved through grace and knowing the Roman roads. But I did read the Bible. I just didn't understand. Alright, we're in the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 27. This is when Jesus gets handed over to Pontius Pilate. Chapter 27, verse 1. When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, and they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate the governor. And Judas hangs himself. Chapter 27, verse 3. Then Judas his betrayer, seeing that he had been condemned, was remorseful and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. And they said, What is that to us? You see to it. And then he threw down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed, and went and hanged himself. But the chief priests took the silver pieces, and said, It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, because they are the price of blood. And they consulted together, and bought with them the porter fields, to bury strangers in it. And therefore that field has been called the field of blood to this day. And then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the value of him who was priced, whom they of the children of Israel priced, and gave them for the potter's fields, as the Lord directed me. Jesus faces Pilate. Chapter 27, verse 11. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus said to him, It is as you say. And while he was being accused by the chief priests and the elders, he answered nothing. Then Pilate said to him, Do you not hear how many things they testify against you? But he answered him not one word, so that the governor marveled greatly. Taking the place of Barabbas. Chapter 27, verse 15. Now at the feast the governor was accustomed to releasing to the multitudes of one prisoner whom they wished. And at the time they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. And therefore when they had gathered together, Pilate said to them, Whom do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ? For he knew that they had handed him over because of the envy. And while he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, Have nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things today in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and the elders pursued the multitudes, and that they should ask for Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governors answered and said to them, Which of the two do you want me to release to you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate said to them, What then shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ? They all said to him, Let him be crucified. Then the governor said, Why, what evil has he done? But they cried out all the more, saying, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could not prevail at all, but rather that a tumult was risen, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of this blood of this just person. You see to it. And all the people answered and said, His blood be on us and on our children. And then he released Barabbas to them. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. The soldiers mocked Jesus. Chapter 27, verse 27. And then the soldiers of the governors took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole garrisons around him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe around him. And when they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and a reed of his right hand. and they bowed the knees before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And then they spat on him, and they took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the robe of him and put his own clothes on him and led him away to be crucified. The King on a Cross, chapter 27, verse 32. Now as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. And when they had come to a place called Golgotha, that is to say, place of a skull, they gave him sour wine mingled with gall to drink. But when he had tasted it, he would not drink it. Then they crucified him, and divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. Sitting down, they kept watch over him there, and they put over his head the accusations written against him. "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and another on the left. And those who passed by blaspheming him, waging their heads and saying, "You who destroyed the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." Likewise the chief priests, also mocking with the scribes and elders, said, "He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he's the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now. And if he will have him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God,' even the robbers who were crucified with him reviled him with the same thing." And Jesus dies on the cross, chapter 27, verse 45. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour there was a darkness over all the land. And about the 9 hours Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani?" That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of those who stood there when they heard that said, "This man is calling for Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and offered it to him to drink. Then the rest said, "Let him alone. Let us see if Elijah will come to save him." And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice, yielding up his spirit. Then behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the graves after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. So when the centurions and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquakes and the things that had happened, they feared greatly, saying, "Truly this was the Son of God." And many women who followed Jesus from Galilee ministered to him, where they are looking on from afar, among whom were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jesus, Josias, and the mother of Zebedee's son. Jesus buried in Joseph's tomb, chapter 27, verse 57. Now when the evening had come, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who himself had also become a disciple of Jesus. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be given to him. When Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in a new tomb, which he had hewn out of the rocks, and he rolled a large stone against it, the door of the tomb, and departed. And Mary Magdalene was there, and the other Mary sitting opposite of the tomb. Pilate sets a guard, chapter 27, verse 62. On the next day, which followed the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered together to Pilate, saying, "Sir, we remember while he was still alive, how the deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise.' Therefore command that the tomb be made secure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say to the people, 'He has risen from the dead.' So the last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard, and go your way, and make it as secure as you know how." So they went, and they made the tomb secure, sealing the stone and setting the guard. Amen. I love you, Jesus. Thank you for dying for me.